Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Another defendant in the Wandon gang trial acquitted. Furious Seaforth residents protest lack of pipe water. Sports. The Reggae Boys is friendly international against two-time World Cup winners scheduled for June 11th. I'm Anthony Lugg. Here are the details. Up first this afternoon, another defendant in the Wandon gang trial has been acquitted of being a member of a criminal organization. Dwayne Salmon was found not guilty in the Home Circuit Court this morning. Mr. Salmon was freed following a no-case submission by his attorney, Kemar Robinson. Chief Justice Brian Sykes upheld the no-case submission and refused an application from the prosecution to charge him with a new count. The Crown was seeking to add the count of knowingly providing a benefit to a criminal organization. Early in the trial, the prosecution's main witness testified that on 2 occasions, Mr. Salmon repaired the gang's illegal guns. He also told the court that he purchased a firearm from Mr. Salmon. Residents of Seaforth in St. Thomas are protesting the lack of piped water in their community. As Sandy Williams reports, the people claim they've been without the commodity for more than 20 years.
A cry for a precious commodity from residents of sections of Seaforth in St. Thomas. They say they've been without piped water for more than 20 years. And to add fire to fury, the bills are still pouring in.
One of the time when it gets so worse, where I got people yard forget water and got river and all about. And when I went down to the water commission, they said, "How you have to pay whether you get the water, yes or no?" Yes, that's what they told me down there. I forgot to look for my bill car coming. Yes, and the water problem is getting really worse.
It is just not fair for them to be sending us this huge amount of bills and expect us to be paying for it when we're not getting the service. No, we will not pay any bill at all until we get the water, especially on Blacksmith Lane, because even now there's water on the scheme and coming from the scheme up to the square, and Blacksmith Lane has no water. So what is the problem?
The people say the lack of water is making life difficult for them.
I cannot go to school if I don't have a shower.
It's hard to go to the river and all those things, and it's very rough. And I'm so tired of this bag of this water stores up. I want solution for this water. I want water to bathe and bathe my kids and all those things. Because it is very hard and I cannot bother with it.
Councillor for the Seaforth Division, Joan Spencer, says funds were allocated to upgrade the Whitehall system, which serves Seaforth and its environs. She is questioning the National Water Commission, NWC, about the delay.
I would like you to come and tell the resident of Seaforth and its surrounding what had happened to the 61.9 million that was allocated to upgrade the system at Whitehall so that people from Seaforth straight to license could have water more abundantly.
We want to know what is happening because we don't have nobody from Water Commission coming to tell us exactly what is happening.
Efforts to get a response from NWC President Mark Barnett proved futile. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
2 new housing solutions are among the development plans for residents of West Kingston. According to Prime Minister Andrew Holness, they're part of the continuation of plans first conceptualized by former Prime Minister and West Kingston MP Edward Seaga. Herman Green reports.
Addressing residents of West Kingston, his political colleagues and relatives of the late Edward Seaga, Prime Minister Andrew Holness indicated that many of Mr. Seaga's plans for the West Kingston constituency were not completed before his passing. Mr. Holness pointed to developing Coronation Market to a world-class standard as one such development plan.
He was also very disappointed that the housing program, we were not able to complete the housing program. And areas such as, forgive me for this is the name I know it as, Board Villa and Rasta City, which when I say this it's nothing derogatory, that those areas were not done and completed. But the people who he has left behind, we have a duty to do it.
And he also announced that at least 2 new projects will begin in these communities in a bid to continue the former MP's housing plans.
So we are going to be breaking ground very shortly for Victoria Villa, which would be beside St. Albans, very close to I think it would be the same board villa we mentioned. And we're going to be doing 35 units there. We're going to be breaking ground for Rasta City in short order.
He says contracts for the developments have already been tendered and funding has been identified for upgrading the housing stock at Board Villa. Mr. Holness was speaking at a memorial service in honor of the late Edward Seaga at the City Mission Pentecostal Church in West Kingston on Sunday. Mr. Seaga died on his birthday, May 28, 2019. Herman Green, TVJ News.
There's an appeal this afternoon for criminals to stop killing the nation's youth. Member of Parliament for Central St. James, Heroy Clark, says this is pertinent as it could send a shock to the country's tourism product, which he says is very fragile. The MP's appeal comes days after a triple murder in the Rose Heights community in Montego Bay, St. James. The deceased from that incident range from ages 24 to 27.
We are begging, we are asking those who are the players within that environment just to cease and desist, because we cannot take away the lives of our young people. It is the next generation.
According to the JCF's crime statistics, St. James has recorded 101 murders since the start of the year up to May 27. That's an increase of 31 homicides compared to the corresponding period last year. 6 persons are now homeless, including a student, after fire destroyed their dwelling yesterday afternoon in St. Elizabeth. According to reports, fire was seen coming from the 3-bedroom house in Happy Grove, Newmarket minutes before 2. The fire department in Black River was called, and 2 units, including one from Santa Cruz, arrived at the scene to put out the blaze. No one was in the house at the time of the fire, but it's reported that the student, who was left at home, had gone to attend to animals, and upon return, he saw the house on fire. The cause of the fire is not known. However, loss is estimated to be $5.5 million. The student was also inconvenienced because he had exams today. And it's time now for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News, and thanks for staying with us. More concerns this afternoon regarding the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC Bill, which is now being reviewed by a joint select committee of Parliament. It comes from the University of Technology, UTech, which sat before the committee on Tuesday morning. O'Shane Masters reports.
Under the bill being reviewed, teachers who practice their craft without being licensed and registered with the Jamaica Teaching Council, JTC, could find themselves facing up to $500,000 in fines or jail time. But Dean of the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies at UTech, Professor Shermaine Barrett, says after going through the Act, no timeline was given for the processing of licensing of teachers.
We observe that there is no specified timetable in the Act or in any other regulation which speaks to the processing of licensing applications, since a teacher cannot be granted employment without being licensed. We question, therefore, whether this stipulation will not tempt persons into fraud or regulate them into forced unemployment if and when there are interminable delays, for example, for background checks.
This, she says, leads to the question of who will in turn discipline teachers if there are breaches, as it does not clearly state if the Education Act of 1980 will be done away with.
We question if this uncertainty regarding jurisdiction in the disciplining of teachers will not result in a de facto bifurcated disciplinary process in which both the JTC Bill and the Education Act of 1980 will exercise some control. This, to our mind, is likely to lead to inefficiencies of the process.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The Jamaica Tourist Board, JTB, is projecting greater recovery figures for the sector this year. For 2021, Jamaica welcomed 1.8 million visitors. Based on marketing strategies and more flights confirmed from Europe, Director of Tourism Donovan White projects that for 2022, Jamaica will see 2.1 million visitors and earnings of over $3 billion. He says part of the reason is that revenue is outpacing visitor arrivals.
They're staying 20% longer than before. They're moving from 7.5 nights per stay to now close to 9. We are also, our average revenue for the destination per visitor has moved somewhere from about $169 to about $185, $186. So we're seeing longer stays, more spending.
He recounts that the Omicron COVID-19 scare in January this year saw a slow start for the sector. However, expanding the tourism product to taking visitors out of the hotel rooms and into communities has resulted in greater interest from visitors. The rest of this year is expected to see continued increases.
It looks like it might be a record May. We don't want to talk too early, but the numbers are extremely good. June, July, August, right through the summer months looks extremely positive in terms of forward bookings. And we anticipate that will only get better with more Jamaicans also coming home to enjoy Jamaica 60.
An influx of Sargassum Seaweed is making it difficult for fisherfolk operating at the Casa Maria in Port Maria, St. Mary. The seaweed has taken over the shoreline, making it difficult for some fishermen to go out to sea. As a result, some have been forced to remove their boats from the area. They also cannot set their nets to catch fish.
You know, the seaweed affect me real bad as a fisherman around here, because you know, it come in, it gets stagnant. When it start to rotten and it start to go back, it run away the fish them, you know. Then, you know, it's burn up all the reef, you know. The acid from it burn up the reef. So, you know, it affects me big time as a fisherman.
Fishermen say they need help.
Once in a while, the Prime Minister may do one little roll of wire. That can't do nothing for us. Tourist business, we don't benefit from tourist business as a fisherman. So, we need some help from them.
And for the latest in the world of business, here's O'Shane Masters with the Business Minute.
Business process management company Hinduja Global Solutions, HGS, recorded a 13.6% growth in revenue for the January to March quarter. The India-based company has operations in Jamaica. For the financial year, total revenue was up 25.4%. Consolidated profit after tax also increased mainly on account of gains from divestment of its healthcare services business. HGS Group CEO Partha Desakar says the company posted strong revenue growth in all 4 quarters of its 2022 financial year. Canada's economy grew at an annualized rate of 3.1% in the first quarter, missing expectations but in line with central bank projections. In the meantime, real gross domestic product GDP climbed 0.7% in March and likely rose 0.2% in April. According to Statistics Canada, quarterly growth slowed compared to the previous 2 quarters on a drop in international export volumes, down 2.4%. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm O'Shane Masters.
And time now for the latest development overseas with Sandy Williams.
In the region, Prime Minister of Bahamas Philip Davis has revealed that the United States and the Bahamas have zeroed in on what he says is a growing and troubling trend. Mr. Davis says some Bahamians with dual citizenship have been using their rights to buy weapons in the United States to smuggle into the Bahamas. The Prime Minister says he expects that America will form some sort of legislation to put an end to the practice.
Whereas we don't want to get involved in their domestic issue about the right to bear arms, we are concerned that purchasers of guns are not just buying it to bear, but rather to export. Some legislative intervention has to be engaged to make those persons responsible and accountable for the arms they purchase.
On the international scene, Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau has said the country should introduce a total ban on the buying and selling of all handguns. His government is proposing a new law that would freeze private ownership of all short-barreled firearms. The legislation would not ban the ownership of handguns outright, but would make it illegal to buy them.
What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. In other words, we're capping the market for handguns.
The bill marks the most ambitious attempt yet by Trudeau's government to restrict access to firearms. Mr. Trudeau's proposal comes days after a deadly shooting at a Texas primary school in the neighboring U.S. killed 21 people. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we head now to a quick break. When we return, we'll have your midday sports report. Simon Preston is standing by. Good afternoon, sir. All is well?
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. At sports time, the West Indies had reached 133 for 2 after 26 overs against the Netherlands in the first of 3 one-day internationals in Amstelveen. The Caribbean side needs a further 114 runs from as many deliveries for victory. Earlier, the game was rain-affected and revised to a 45-over-a-side contest. Batting first, the Netherlands posted 240 for 7 off their 45 overs, with Teja Ninandarandu top scoring with 58. Akhil Hussain and Kyle Mears took 2 wickets each, while Alzari Joseph, Anderson Phillip and Hayden Walsh Jr. took a wicket each. These ODIs will count as points towards qualification to the 2023 Cricket World Cup, which will be held in India. 2011 World Champion Johan Blake finished second in the men's 100 metres at the Ostrava Golden Spike meet in the Czech Republic earlier today. Blake posted 10.05 seconds behind winner Rhys Prescott of Great Britain in 9.93. Zarnell Hughes ended third also in 10.05. Over in the women's 400 metres, Candice McLeod finished second in a season's best 50.38 seconds. She finished behind Natalia Kazmarek of Poland in 50.16. Olympic Games bronze medalist Megan Tappa ended 6th in the women's 100-metre hurdles with a time of 13.12 seconds. Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn won in 12.56 seconds. To football we go now, as the Reggae Boys' friendly international against two-time World Cup winners Uruguay, which is scheduled for June 11, has been cancelled. The fixture has been cancelled as CONCACAF did not give their approval to the Reggae Boys. With the Reggae Boys having matches in the CONCACAF Nations League on June 4, 7 and 14, CONCACAF felt the extra travel to South America would take a toll on the Jamaicans, especially ahead of their home clash against Mexico on June 14. The Jamaican delegation departs the island for Suriname today. Jamaica will need to finish at the top of the table in order to advance to the semi-finals of the Nations League and to the 2023 Gold Cup. The second-place team secures qualification to the Gold Cup next year, while finishing at the foot of the table means that they will be relegated to League B. Jamaican footballer Jamil Matt has won the English League Two Player of the Season award after guiding Forest Green Rovers to promotion to League One. Matt, who is the captain of the Forest Green Rovers side, scored 19 goals and tallied 10 assists in 46 appearances in helping Forest Green move to the third tier of English football for the first time in the club's history. The 32-year-old Matt is the first Jamaican to receive this award since Omar Daly in 2009. Back locally now, as last season's beaten finalist Waterhouse clipped Tivoli Gardens 1-0 in action from the Jamaica Premier League at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex on Monday. Devroy Gray scored for the Jerusalem-based outfit in the 74th minute. The victory carried Waterhouse to the top of the table. Meanwhile, Mount Pleasant Academy are up to third in the table after clipping a host Arnett Gardens 1-0 in the curtain raiser. Trevante Stewart was on target for the St. Anne-based club. And that is where we'll blow the final whistle for now for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Anthony, it's over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.